All right, folks, we are in preparation of creating our collage. At this point, you have cut out all kinds of different things that you have felt out of magazines that you have felt that fit with your identity, fit with things of your interest, had a narrative, it tells a story, maybe some words, different images, things like that. And now we're going to put it together. You're going to get a piece of illustration board about this size, and you're going to begin to kind of create a background. You've got a lot of options when it comes to backgrounds. You may have found something magazine-wise that has some interesting pattern or thing on it. You may have also found something like just the actual words from a magazine. I will also have some various collage materials, book pages, maps, and several things like that, and those will all be on the counter. Consider even things like tearing up a piece of paper bag or creating something with some tissue paper. So you're going to get your, and this one's a small example of them, you're going to get your illustration board, make sure you put your name on it, and you can begin building up your layers. So I've got all sorts of different collage materials, newspaper, the magazines we've been using, some different patterns, like this one has a bit of a music book, and lay down your first layer. Alright, so when we do lay down our first layer, we're going to be using Mod Podge. This Mod Podge will be glossy when it's finished, but you'll be adding your materials using this Mod Podge. There's a special gold vase there with Mod Podge brushes. This Mod Podge does kind of make the bristles of a brush kind of stiff. So this is what you're going to do when you are laying down your first layer. Give it a layer down, just kind of a thin layer of Mod Podge down on the board where you're going to put your pieces, and then you're going to put your pieces where you need them. And if you go over the edge, you can definitely trim that off. And then you're going to go over it with another layer. Give it a thin layer over the top of it. This will adhere it securely. This takes a few minutes to dry, so if you're wanting to add more layers to it, you can do that. Okay, so there's some options. Also, I have some other things that you can use. I will have some construction paper over at the counter that you can use, as well as some interesting fancy scissors. So you may decide that you want to add pattern or rhythm or some sort of thing like that, or some shapes. I also have some various paper punches over there that you could use. You could use these on the magazines themselves or any of the other collage materials, the maps, things like that, and create some shapes to create kind of some sort of a design that way. You'll add your words, you can add various things with those options there. So fancy scissors, paper punches that have circles, squares, and other shapes. Also, you will probably be creating maybe some interesting things with the mat board and X-Acto knives. These will be at my desk. They need to be returned there when you're all finished, but you can create more detailed items when you start adding by using the X-Acto knives. So if you find the scissors are not doing the job, I will have these X-Acto knives. If one isn't working very well, you can trade it up for another one. Just let me know. I might be able to have a blade handy to swap out. Now, these tighten right here, so be careful with these. Don't be cutting too close to your fingers. It's easy to do. If you need a ruler to get a nice straight edge, we'll have those available as well. But just be careful not to get your fingers stuck in there. And I don't want to see anybody horsing around with the X-Acto knives. They are pretty sharp, so be careful with those. Okay, so that's an option. And whenever using a X-Acto knife, you need something to protect the table. One of these mats is what you need. All right, so Also, another option is, let's say you did put down some pages or some music pages or old book or something like that. You can add overlay of tissue paper. You can tear it, rip it, or cut it in the shape that you want. But you can add some tissue paper. And that is transparent so that you can see what you have there as well, and you can get some of those words to pop through over the tissue paper. So there's various colors of tissue paper there. As well as you can add some paint. So now, over there I have a few rules when it comes to paint. And you could go over this with a thin coat of a color of paint. And when I say thin coat, or if you want to start out from the very beginning with some color on your board, you're definitely welcome to do that. Now, I have paint trays like this that have lids on them, and I have various acrylic paints here at your disposal. You're welcome to mix some colors. This is my only rule here, is what I find sometimes students, we only usually have about 40 minutes of work time, and I'll have students fill every single tray of their paint and then only use a little bit of one. And if you can see there, I've only added a little dab. Really, a little dab will go a long way. I will also have water cups and paint brushes, and I would prefer you use the paint brushes separate from the collage brushes, the decoupage brushes, just because I'd like to keep these soft and able to work with your with paints. So get a little bit of water if you want a thin coat. Add a little water here and get a little bit, and as I mentioned, a little dab will do ya. It really goes a long way. Let it dry, give it a second coat if it needs it. If you're just wanting a thin coat to go over your color here, that is easy enough to do. I don't have any water at the moment, but do that. Now, if you have some paints and you didn't use them all, and you got a lot like I told you not to do, put a lid on it, put it over there by the paint tray, and it'll be there for you tomorrow or for somebody else to use. But let me reiterate, please, 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 just go and get what you need for today, and you can always go back for more. But be conservative when you're working with the paints, please. Also, make sure you're also washing them out and putting them in the cup with the hair in the air, okay? So that is really important. Usually times students are putting them in that way is because they want to get away with not washing them out. Now, if you don't wash it out, this is permanent. This will harden, and it'll be difficult for me to remove the paint after it's dried. Okay, so those are some things that you have at your disposal. Different collage materials, overlapping. I would say kind of create kind of a nice image. Put it down first, kind of look it over, and then begin to decoupage or Mod Podge them down so that you can kind of see what you're doing. So once you've stuck something down, it is difficult to take up. So you may want to consider that. You're welcome to kind of keep overlapping and keep building up of your materials. These are to represent you, so use what you've cut out, kind of create kind of an arrangement. Remember, we learned about the elements of art and some pattern, rhythm, unity, things like that. Keep that in mind. You use your own visual cues to kind of create something of interests. So there you go. There we'll begin after this video. Thank you.